possible.
There we go. We're on. We're
We're
going.
on. So I always get the butterflies before, any one of these.
Really?
Yeah, even like scheduling one with my dad, I always get the
Jittery.
anticipate. Yeah, I get the butterflies in my stomach. So, and
Ah,
with you definitely because we've never met in person. It's like real uncommon for me to do this, but yeah, I mean, I'm asked to do some other ones on politics and macro, and I always decline. But I like you. I like the pub. I like your format.
cheers, mate.
I'm cool.
I'll tell you what, Jeff, there is absolutely nothing special about me at all. To
You
what,
know, we're
it,
both incredibly human
yeah,
and flawed and like brutally honest about it. So there's no pretense in the Watt podcast at all. If you got it, you're gonna get smoked. And
absolutely.
I love so that's I'm like all in Andy. I
Yeah.
was just in the Czech Republic and I unfortunately did not even have time to get to the local coin store.
Oh,
But
that's okay.
I should be going back sometime this summer, maybe early fall. And there's some cool numismatics there. I aim to pick one up, and I should have time when I'm in Rome to look for that Italian coin we talked about. And
Oh, mate, yeah.
I'm trying to pick you up a coin and mail one to you.
Did you see German? I think the Germans have just minted their first bullion coin as well.
Have they?
I believe so,
Is
dude.
it their mint or is it the British mint?
Let me have a look. Where did I see it?
Because some of the ones in the Czech Republic are minted by the Royal Mint, and so you got the king or the queen on the obverse side, and so that wouldn't appeal to me for my collecting purposes. But they do mint some um, in house or in the country with their own mint, and those I collect.
Oh, there. I'm just looking to see. It might have been Atkinson's. Can you hear me all right, dude?
Yeah, I hear you. Great.
Yeah, brilliant. Let me have a look at where did I see it? We've got a bullion dealer in the UK called Atkinson's, and I'm sure one of their notifications come up saying that it was the first proper German mint bullion coin.
Really, that
So
been in since a long time.
I don't know. It's weird. I don't know what I was looking at. I
That's
don't
all
know,
right.
mate. If I find it, I'll send you
Yeah.
a picture of
The,
it, or I
I
probably got
believe
it all wrong.
the guy that does the engraving for the Hungarian Mint runs a coin store in Budapest. And I've been to his shop a couple of times and bought coins from him. He has some really, really cool stuff in there. And he has some old numismatics as well as like recent, you know, last 80 years production stuff from Hungary.
Yeah.
Those are, and Azerbaijan mints coins, Georgia mints coins, Russia mints coins, China, Emirates, um, Poland, well, of course, the UK. Um,
Yeah, they're all at it, aren't they?
yeah.
I don't know, mate.
Yeah. Well, if you
I,
see it, burn me a link on X in my messages, and I'll try to keep an eye. I may be traveling on the road and trains, or I may just fly this late summer. I have no idea.
yeah,
So big unknowns. A lot
yeah.
of but less unknowns for me now. I think my future decisions are starting to
Map
materialize.
out. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's good. That's always great, isn't it? Because, like, I don't know. I suppose you can have a little bit of a time wandering around, trying to find what you want to do, where you want to go, if you want to settle, blah, blah, blah. So you sort of go for that nomady type experience, don't you?
I got invited to Saudi Arabia recently, and I'm still kicking around whether or not to go. My fear isn't like that negative one about that trip. My fear is that I'm gonna love the situation and I'm not gonna want to leave. And I'm just
Yeah.
gonna in Riyadh with a great job.
Yeah.
Kids can ride ponies, so they won't care.
No, I don't care at all.
As long as they can ride horses, that's all they care about. Um, yeah, and Dubai and London have come up recently, and those are just big offices that may want to talk and just see where it goes. I
Yeah.
don't need to jump at anything, and I don't want to jump at the wrong thing. But I had an interesting meeting at the conference with a guy from London, and he runs a nonprofit focused on using Bitcoin to for charitable purposes, but they haven't deployed any capital or ran a project yet because they have examined like 100 other nonprofits. They saw all this money's being spent, but nothing's being done. And I had been kind of on my own. I even posted about it a while back, kind of mulling over a community supported agriculture project with fair trade practices in mind that would benefit the producer. And so I had some notes. I brought up my notes, shared them with them. She seemed pretty interested, and he said as the other founding partner would be. So we might do a teams meeting on that. If I could help, I'll do that. Absolutely, I would love to
Yeah.
do something really nice for people. Um, I don't need to, I just donate my time or whatever. I'd stop working to go work on a project that would genuinely benefit people in a village anywhere. I don't care where it is. I would do that in a heartbeat. But we'll see.
Yeah.
Different strokes for different folks. It's just an idea. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
Dude, can we talk about your experience, your Prague experience at the conference?
yeah, man. That was
Is that okay?
first.
But before you do that,
Yeah.
have you just before you come on, I was just flicking through and I just saw an article about this. What's it called? The need for a European Savings and Investment Union. Have you heard about that?
Yes.
What's all that about?
I don't know the details, but my guess is it's going to be some type of way of converting legacy TradFi savings, heavily encouraged to participate in a new vehicle, which would be federally controlled by the EU and the central bank there. That's my guess. There's also talk about unrealized gains taxes and um, Mika is. I'm sure you're familiar with Mika. What's going on in Europe with cryptos and Mika?
No.
It's just a bunch of regulations.
Okay.
Surprise, surprise. Yeah, I've spent a lot of time in the different parts of the EU in the last couple of years,
Yep.
and had a lot of conversations with a lot of people. And I try real hard to just talk to my cab driver, a vegetable seller, a guy that runs a restaurant, a guy
Proper
with
people.
yeah, a guy with a metal shop,
Yeah.
just like I hope something goes wrong where I'm staying so I can talk to the repairman for a bit, buy him dinner. And then I talk to people on the policy level, and there's real stress and uncertainty in the EU. There's two main camps. There's a federalist camp that wants to centralize more of the decision making and planning, and then there's a nationalist movement that's brewing in the east, and which is well, actually, it's in the south too. It's in Italy. And there's a small nationalist movement in France. There's, the AfD in Germany. They just had elections in Poland. Hungary's got elections coming up this year. Peter Magyar be the opposition candidate to Viktor Orban, and but there's a definite like palpable um, feeling of nationalism rematerializing in Europe, especially outside of the centers of power. So I think that direction is going to gain momentum and be more victorious. But the both sides aren't going to go down without a fight, so it's going to be interesting to watch. The EU is many things, and some of it's really positive, and some of it's a little suspect.
Yeah.
But I'm an outsider, and so I won't really make my opinions known publicly because it's none of my business.
Yeah.
But I do give my assessments privately, and
Yeah. It's interesting times, and it's,
yeah.
yeah,
While
you can
but,
definitely
I
feel
talked
it.
to policymakers at the conference in Prague, and sometimes I was just allowed to be a fly on the wall, and you know the movement towards Web3 is that's very real. That's not pie in the sky anymore. That's happening. That's happening right now, and the decisions being made now are going to decide the framework for how these technologies are rolled out in the future. And every region of the world's doing something a little different. Some of the things are the same. The underlying tech is the same, but the application and the regulation of that tech, there's a variance. And so I think you're going to see a multipolar rollout of Web3 in the form of tokenized real world assets, stable coins, uh, cross border payments made through new banking vehicles, and then underlying capital assets because of Basel III regulations coming July 1 are still going to be gold, but they're going to add Bitcoin to that.
Yeah.
And the Bitcoin part isn't like a for sure thing. Like no one's come out and just like said, "Yep, this is what we're doing." I mean, Trump in America has said they're going to do it, but I mean, it hadn't happened. Um, so you can wish in one hand, right? But
Yeah.
uh, but the direction of the policies going in the way of Bitcoin as a strategic capital asset, um, which is disruptive because of volatility. That volatility is not going away overnight.
Yeah. I get the feeling as well, Jeff. I don't know about you, but for something as radical as what potentially is going to happen, probably is going to happen. Who knows? We don't know, but it kind of feels like it's going to. Then I would not be surprised if a lot of it is dealt with behind closed doors and not really publicly
It's
put out
happening.
there yet. Sorry,
Yeah, it's happening. It's even happening in Bitcoin right now.
that's what I
Uh,
mean. Yeah,
Ask yourself where institutions making large purchases are getting their Bitcoin. Where's that coming from?
well, someone's selling it.
Um,
I would imagine.
yeah, so I had some suspicions um, about how some of that supply is coming about, and I was able to confirm those suspicions at the conference. There
Okay.
are some long-term holders who I guess you could describe some of them as whales who are moving, they're rebalancing kind of their strategic um, posture, and they're providing that over the counter supply in exchange for consideration. That's all I can really say.
Dude, you don't need to say anymore.
Yeah, it is. And you know what? Can you blame them? Think about it.
No.
Think about it. If you've been in it that long and you get a chance to have a seat at the table, like why wouldn't you take that? That's, I mean, you can sit in cold storage, but I mean, at some point you have to diversify that or you're not living your life, right?
Yeah.
And so when you go to live your life, if you're offered a seat at the table and that comes with maybe an advisory position or a board position or a large equity stake pre-IPO or in the construct of a new company. Like I don't blame that guy that takes that deal. That makes sense. And this is what institutional or mass scale adoption looks like. And so I had a conversation with another guy at the conference about the men in suits with briefcases showing up. Um, and he said, "Is that a bad thing?" And I said, "Well, I mean, no. I mean, some people are saying, yeah, it's a bad thing. Those guys shouldn't be here. You can't have mass adoption without those guys. Those guys are part of the mass, right? And so it's not that them showing up is the problem. It's how they're received and integrated into the space will determine whether they get their feelings hurt and go make their own plans or whether they start to adopt a little bit. And so now's the time to pull those guys even closer, forge those relationships, and try to help them understand the differing philosophy coming from the Bitcoin standard, and it's going to have to meet in the middle with an existing institution, and
Absolutely.
that deconfliction is a major point of contention with a lot of recruiting companies as we speak, not just on the policy level, but on the developer level, on the tech guys, just getting the tech guys to agree to work for some company based in Belgium. They don't want to get paid in euros. They say, no, I want to be paid in Bitcoin only. And I'm not. So there's all this.
Yeah.
They need the nerds, and the nerds are like, yeah, I'm not working for anything other than Bitcoin, which is okay. I get it. But at the same time, just take the money and convert it yourself. I mean, there's other ways to handle this than becoming adversarial. At no point in the next few years will most of the development become automated because there's just way too many vulnerabilities in the way um, nodes and miners are being developed. And I dug in more to the op return debate between Bitcoin Core and knots. And um, yeah, I made my choice. My node runs knots, and I think Core has problems, and they need to figure it out. But at the same time, it's very possible that there's a serious battle being fought now that people don't understand the implications of. And this is the way it always happens. It starts behind closed doors, and then the guy in the street doesn't know how to fucks him over until it's too late. So if you run a node, um, look into that debate and make your own decision.
Yeah. I'll have to
Yeah.
talk to you about nodes, or we'll have to have a little bit of a session on nodes because I'd like to know more. So I'd like to be able to set one up and run one myself at some point.
I think it's important for
Mm.
guys in
Yeah.
space to run a node
Yeah.
and wanted to it enforces decentralization of the network. It diversifies the voices that are present in the network, and it gives you direct access to the network without an intermediary.
Yeah.
So you don't need an exchange or a technology that runs on an application in order to access that network to transact on the network. Does
Yeah.
that make sense?
Yeah. It
So,
does. Yeah.
like, from a big picture perspective, it's like I think full orange pilling happens when you set up a node, and it's like, okay, now I'm no longer just like sitting on the train, like I'm participating in the train continuing to move.
Yeah.
Right? I'm
Yeah.
either off selling beverages or cleaning the bathroom or
Yeah.
working wheels or something. There's all these jobs, right?
You're part of the engine.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and maybe some of us are just janitors or whatever, right? So I've always said I'm just a professional janitor. Um, no, I got to meet some really great people. I had some fantastic conversations. Uh, um,
Was it your first conference or
it was, it
okay?
was,
What was the
it was.
vibe? What was the vibe like?
I wanted to say the guys that put on the conference, it's two brothers from Prague, and Matthias, one of the brothers, and I spent a lot of time together. And I got to tell you, he's a great guy. him and his brother put on a fantastic conference. It's worth every penny. High signal, no shit coins, no confusion, super chill vibe. I went in VIP and it was Michelin star food every day, and which was unexpected. Just you couldn't ask for nicer people, and the conference was just executed so well. I was just enamored with what a great job those guys did. So if someone's going to go to a conference in Europe, that's the one I would
Okay.
have no problem going to.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I have to
Just
meet. I'll have to meet
amazing.
you there next year
Yeah, maybe.
if
Yeah.
you're around.
Yeah, I should be somewhere, um, I'm going to go dark here eventually for a while,
Yeah.
and I don't know when. And but I'm always going to be somewhere in some country, sitting at a place that grills meat and serves cheap beer, and having a smoke and just talking, watching,
Watching
traditional
nature.
dance
Yeah.
videos on the TV, or yeah, or watching a cow walk by or something. And
Sounds cool, man.
I spend too much time with the blue light and the black mirror, and I have to get back to nature.
Yeah.
It was in nature pretty hard until recently, anyway. And
Yeah, I remember you saying because you quite like my walks, don't you?
yeah,
Yeah, you were saying that. I love it, dude. I absolutely love it. It's a great way for me to get away from all the noise, and I'm very fortunate where I live. I've got a nice garden and lots of nature in
I
it.
like the path you do on the Bitcoin walks in the morning.
Yeah, yeah, it's really cool, man. It's really cool.
Yeah,
I think it's important, really important. Keeps me pretty grounded. Anyway,
yeah.
so what was, I mean, from a vibe of the conference, as in the type of people that were there, was it a broad mix? Was it suity, nerdy, normal? Was it,
Developer Day was really nerdy. I went to Developer Day
yeah,
before the conference, and then Business Day was the day after that. That was good. Very relaxed, not too many suits. If they were there, they were dressed, down, and they're really just more of like tourists initially showing up and trying to take it in, and then the 2 days of the main conference, it's just there were kids, there were families, average people. I was just it was great, and there were very high signal people at the conference. You can see who there was there and spoke, and um, uh, got to talk to many of the presenters, and some of whom I chat with online, and got to meet them personally and sit down and have brief conversation with some, and more in depth with others. And um, everybody's more optimistic now than ever, and at the same time, there's this feeling of caution that we don't want to get it wrong.
yeah,
And so I don't think anybody was in there trying to ramrod any ideas or say, no, this is the way it's going to be. It was the protocol speaks for itself, and support it. And that's the best thing you can do. And um, yeah, listen to people from all over the world talk, and talk to some people from all over the world. You this space is very early.
yeah,
That's what I came away with. Like, big picture strategic thinking is very early. This is a long game. You should self custody and run a node, and um, just be prepared for volatility. And you shouldn't put anything in you can't let ride for 5 years.
yeah, exactly.
And it's not a lottery ticket, but it is the future. It's like uh, the guys that used to run network cables in offices made a lot of money because nobody understood how to run a computer network. And
Yeah,
like my 12-year-old could do that, right? Um, and so this is those early times where the guys that know how to run a node understand how to manage UTXOs and just understand the space. There's a market value for that knowledge. Um, there is, and as the more adoption picks up, the more that marketability is going to matter, and the more opportunity will be there for people, even with what we would consider like cursory knowledge. So, there's jobs for people with just Bitcoin natives, where they can just come onto a company for 30 days just to teach. And many of the people I met are just educators, and that's all they do is
Yeah,
educate.
yeah,
Yeah, and some online, and some of those online guys spend time with clients in particular and teach everybody how it works. I mean,
yeah.
it's a lot of research just to get your head around this.
It is, dude. And I'm still learning every day. Bloody hell.
Yeah.
Uh,
All right.
I'm,
Well,
I'm not too techy with it all.
yeah.
I think I've learned enough of the basic tech to learn and understand how the network to a degree works and what it stands for and how the protocol or what the protocol stands for really and how that can be used. But if I start digging into the weeds of the tech, then it's not my spill. But
I think there's enough support now where it's not that difficult. I think you could
hmm,
handle it. I think
really,
yep, I think just a couple hours and you'd be able to run your own node and you'd be super confident.
yeah, I'd
It,
like to do it. With me and my son
yeah,
have been talking about it for quite a while now, and
I actually don't want to say the company's name, but I am working with a company to onboard me and my wife into running our node uh, with specific protocols in mind, and they just offer advice. They never touch anything. And they hold your hand through it. And I'll when I finish up that process, I'll let you know how it goes. Yeah,
yeah,
and
that'd be
then
cool, mate.
yeah,
Yeah, I'd
yeah.
really enjoy that. Thank you.
Um, but I tell you, the people that at that company are amazing. They're Bitcoiners. They're not. Yeah, I would say there's a lot of the companies present, the people running their booths were not Bitcoiners. It was obvious, and a lot of the developers are not Bitcoiners.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was shocking for me.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about the exhibitors. Um,
There were many. I got plenty of free swag, and people gave me some cold storage devices and stuff. I don't think I'm going to use any of it. Um, so may I just mail it to you, give it away if you want. I'm set up. I'm fine. But I
me
plan
too.
on just handing it out,
That's
as
it.
I'm on my journey. And but the third party services offering protection for people because of the technical difficulty presents another layer of complication now, because now there's extra points of failure in your self custody, right? Well, our app holds this key, and it's like, is that self custody? It's and everybody's got to walk a journey of learning,
Yep,
and so the most important point is to get off zero. If you don't have any exposure, do something. Put $10 in.
absolutely.
Put it in PayPal. Put it in an exchange. Just get on and start learning.
Yeah,
And everybody should start somewhere. We shouldn't really discourage anybody just because of where they're at on learning.
yeah.
You know, yeah,
I'm 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 really pleased because just since we've been doing this, and obviously you guys, Cam, all the interaction I'm having and trying to do my bit myself, that we've now encouraged three people to do their own education. And since they've done their own education and the proper education on learning about money,
yeah,
and they've now started to stack Bitcoin.
yeah,
And to me, that's yay, because I haven't sold anything. All I've done is sold the idea of educating themselves. and to encourage people to educate yourself because, I mean, admittedly, they're precious metals people, so they've got a fairly good idea of
Yeah,
money.
they know money. Yeah, they know what money is. Yeah.
Yeah, and have just hopefully been encouraged to just push themselves a little bit further, mainly from my walks, actually, to be honest, and me just talking, blabbering about certain stuff, and that's encouraged them to just do that extra bit of work, and the penny's just gone ting,
Yeah.
ting, and it's really cool. It's really cool.
The guys that are just dead set against it, but that they're in the coins, I'm not their enemy at all. I'm not ever telling anybody to sell a stack ever. Uh, that's not what it's about. And so if they're nervous or and they were uncertain and they demonstrate that uncertainty through um, a harsh communication, I don't take that personally or hold it against them. The suspicious nature of a gold bug or a silver bug is something that never should be changed. And I mean, just stay that way
Yeah,
is it actually you'll do fine. I mean, you're
yeah,
gonna do you're you just I'm never selling this. Dude, you're gonna do better than like 99% of the people in the world. You
absolutely.
know? Same with silver, get off zero, buy your first ounce of silver, right? That first ounce. And don't buy anything slabbed unless you're ready to break it. Like pull it out, touch it, make it go ping when you flip it and like carry it in your pocket and put some tone on it and love that thing and like learn that that's what your money's supposed to be. And when they get that, like they should never let go of that. Um, so I mean I haven't sold any of my silver and uh yeah, and I'm in a gold trade for a while now, but
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, that'll be fun. We'll see how that works. I don't, I don't even, I'm just, I'm resigned to the fate of it all. It's just like it either happens or it doesn't. So, but if my trade works out, it should be,
Yeah, that's what it's about, though, isn't it? It's the fun of it all, really, isn't it?
yeah,
That learning and manage it, as Camel would say, manage that risk, and
yeah.
you've got to have a
I really love those guys in the Camel Crew. They're just, I mean, I'm not like them. I don't trade like they do.
no, not do
Uh,
I.
I watch them for other reasons.
Yeah,
Uh, um, but well, you couldn't find a nicer group of guys. I mean, there's shitheads everywhere, but I mean, generally speaking, like I talk to some of these guys quite a bit, privately, and
yeah,
they're cool guys.
yeah,
They're all really cool. It's nice to know them. It's a pleasure if they'll follow me, and I always follow them back. I believe I do. If I haven't followed somebody, send me a note and I'll follow you back or whatever. I do want to be in touch with as many voices as possible at all times. Everyone's opinion has merit and purpose, and I want to listen to as many opinions and viewpoints as possible. But that's kind of what I do.
yeah. But I know, to me, Jeff, that is fundamentally the whole the way I look at all of this, like the investments, the money, it's all based around people. It isn't
Yeah,
based around anything else. It's based around people and their emotions and their mindset.
yeah,
So what you've just said is this is what I like to do. I like to be around as many people as possible, engage, listen. I have to listen more, listen to gauge people what they're thinking. And 9 times out of 10, we all think around the same sort of things. Maybe our mindset or
your approach
our
to your be a little different.
goals might be different,
Yeah,
but the
yeah,
basis of what we're all trying to achieve is the same. And that I'll never forget. I don't know, you're terrible now because you introduced me to the word signal,
yeah.
and I'm
Versus no,
always looking for signals.
yeah.
And with
But
people,
the signal is always in the noise. Have you ever
it's
done ham radio? Amateur radio, shortwave, anything?
No.
Oh, okay. But
I,
the signal is always surrounded by noise.
yeah, I get what you
Always.
mean. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. And we have to learn how to attenuate our receiver to the signal. And what works today for attenuation may adjust as time passes.
yeah,
And so I can get on an HF rig in Albania here and talk to, a friend in Michigan,
yeah.
but as soon as the stratosphere starts to behave differently and a sunspot comes, we that channel's not going to work. We have to find a new channel, new way to do signal, or we have to relay. And that's all information management, communication.
Yeah.
Um, but I wanted to go a little further on what we were just talking about,
Yeah, go.
listening to everybody. I sat in the forest in my cabin in Michigan for years, raising the kids when they were tiny, building the cabin, hunting and fishing. And I still stayed in touch with what was going on in the world, but from a distance. And I am mindful of my own algorithm and how it affects what it is that I am able to consume online. And I take efforts to adjust that algorithm through various means to try to make sure that my own bias isn't misinforming me.
Can you explain a little bit by what you mean by that about your own
Um,
algorithm?
well, so I mean, when I open an account with a social platform with my name and my age and my sex and my preferences for photography and architecture or whatever, I'm already adjusting that algorithm to exclude other things. So you can open different accounts with different ages and different locations, and you'll see different things. And so, you know, it was getting to a point in the world post COVID mess, in the beginnings of the post COVID mess, that I was sure how my neighbors felt. I was sure how I felt, and I was sure about like my dad and people I had known, in the military. I stayed in touch. I knew that vibe. But if I thought, hey, what if something's, how's the rest of the world seeing this? Is this even an issue in other places in the world? And there's like not a really good way to sit in your home and figure that out. So, I mean, you can do so with Reddit to a degree, but there's bias present there. And so you can get on, Reddit Kazakhstan and talk to the Kazakhs there, but you're only getting a certain type of Kazakh who's already interested in technology and the internet. But there's like, that's not the only person there, right? And so are those ideas represented by them mainstream, or are they fringe, or, and so part of our travels was for me to just figure out what in the hell is going on in the rest of the world.
Yeah.
And it's been phenomenal because I've really gotten to see some things very, very, very clearly, and met a lot of people, had great conversations. And now I think I have a better handle on where I think things are going and how they're going to get there and what it's going to look like. I think I can project out further now with a greater degree of accuracy than I could had I just stayed in the woods. It doesn't mean I'm not going to be wrong. I'm making a lot of mistakes, but I make fewer of them the more I know.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's probably one of the little bits I don't know really. I always struggle with social media and the internet and losing that contact physically from what you're describing by interaction. That old,
Yeah.
well, I call it. I mean, I call it old school interaction now. It's really weird because really it's proper interaction, isn't it? You okay?
I'm just getting my waiter. Hold on.
Okay.
Have none here? Paul. What was that? Gin and tonic. Of course. Fala, Mandir. You're welcome. You need ice? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, you're absolutely fine, dude. I thought he was going to say hello.
Oh,
He was
okay,
going to
come
come
by.
on and say hello. Hello there.
Come on, say hello. Yeah.
Uh, sorry, I don't know what I was saying. Yes, yeah, it's incredibly frustrating for me personally
Yeah.
trying to get the same, and I'm really working hard at it, trying to get the same vibe as if I would go out and talk to people
Well,
via this sort of setup.
most of our lives were handled personally, one on one.
Exactly.
Every
Yeah.
everything we did with someone or learned about someone happened from contact,
Yeah.
and so we've this shift in technologies happened later in our lives. Whereas, like a kid in his 20s, most of he doesn't know a world without the internet. And so they're more, even how they communicate and how they get a vibe is different from how we may perceive things. And so they're handicapped in that regard, personally, in a way that we're not, but they're also enabled to get greater communication accuracy online than we are. And so, I mean, it's a balance. And I think every generational viewpoint is material and purposeful and useful and shouldn't be ignored. Um, some things about the way we handle things personally kind of will help the new people. Sorry, there's a helicopter coming over.
That's
Is
okay.
it loud?
No,
Okay. Um, the way people online handle things personally maybe benefited from learning a little bit of that from the elders. Parliamentary. That's okay. We'll push. And that um
I'm jealous.
you want to come out here to the hills? Can I just buy your plane ticket and you just come on out here for a week?
Oh God, be so cool.
Would you do it?
Would I do it? Um,
Get you a plane ticket. Would you just come to Albania for a week? You and the missus. How about I get one for you and the missus? Would you do it?
I, th- well, okay, I'm going to be honest with you. Not at the moment, no. But,
Okay.
but if, if I do my job right, then ask me the same question this time next year.
I don't know where I'll be next year, but I'll ask you wherever I'm at.
Yeah, but we could come and see you wherever.
Exactly. I think I
Just
know
not
where
quite ready for it.
I
Just
think I
not
know
quite
where
ready.
I think I know where I'll be next year, but I'm just not sure yet. But I'm pretty sure I know. And
Yeah,
but we'll see. And I might go dark before I get there.
yeah. Well,
That doesn't mean I'm not lurking in the background. Uh,
absolutely.
I'm
You got
always lurking in the background. But yeah, I uh you know y- year shit. We don't even know what the hell's going to be happening in 30 days. You
Oh
know,
man, it could all change pear shape next week.
moving so fast. I didn't catch all of you with Camel,
All right.
quite a bit of it. And yeah, shit, I don't know. Those little gray guys could be out here tomorrow, you know.
It's interesting, isn't it? It's
I don't know. I don't put it past possibility at all.
no, not do I. I
No
never
way.
have done actually, to be fair.
No,
And the
never gonna.
more, and the more, yeah, the more as time's gone by, for me personally, I find it difficult to make an argument. If I'm being serious with myself,
Yeah,
I would find it difficult to make an argument against it, knowing what I know now and how the way I observe all the noise.
yeah,
And in between all the noise, I struggle. I said to Kat, like most of us, like once you start to know stuff, it's very difficult to forget stuff.
Yeah.
It's easy. You've got a choice, obviously, but you can't ignore it all the time, you know? You can't ignore that inner gut feeling. And I
You
suppose the
can't
older you get and the more years you've got under your belt, you can't suppress stuff for that long.
you can't unfire a gun.
Sorry?
You cannot unfire a gun.
No, you can't.
Yeah. Once the shot's fired, that's it.
Yeah. And yeah, it
Even the
seems,
for Neo was a one-way trip,
yeah, it's interesting.
but it's better to be eating gruel on the Nebuchadnezzar that you know is real than it is to be staring at the woman in the red dress.
That's really funny because I was talking to Camel yesterday. Well, I can't remember what I said. It was something along those lines. I said, I'd rather go through life. Oh, that's right. We said, well, what do we, yeah, we both were talking and we said, well, what do you do with the information? And I said, well, probably there isn't much you can do personally, but by God, I'd rather know than not.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
that's like me saying, I'd rather be in the real world
yeah,
and know it.
if I'm gonna get it, I'd rather get it honestly.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
someone's gonna whip my ass. I want to know why.
Yeah, yeah.
That doesn't
Still have
mean I'm gonna miss the ass kicking.
ex-
I just want to know why I'm getting it.
yeah,
That's all.
exactly. Exactly. Or actually know why you're getting it. Yeah, yeah, just know. Yeah,
That's it.
it's a perfect analogy, you know. It's because I can sit there and go, oh no, that's fine.
Um,
It's interesting.
nothing's off the cards. Nothing's off the table for me. I mean, anything's possible.
Yeah.
But I mean, I say that I have a pretty loose framework that I place around my worldview and has guided me very well. And I'm hesitant to entertain anything that would um, cause me to shift that. I'm willing to listen to an alternative view and put it in the file and consider it. The Western mind has a hard time, uh, and I have a Western mind, but it has a hard time living in a paradox. But the Eastern mind kind of doesn't know how to live without one. And the more I've talked to people in Asia and Orthodox monks, great thinkers in the East, the more I realize that. And so, rigid debate with people unwilling to hear a challenging opinion can become an argument. And once it's an argument, there's no communication and there's no point. You just walk away. My hit rate for resolving um, a crisis through negotiation is about 60%. But my rehire rate is 100% because
Really?
I try to leave every conversation, even if it blows up, I try to leave both parties in a place where they're still happy to see me when I step off a plane because I live by a code. I don't lie, just tell people how it is. And it's all important, but not really. And um, even the stuff that is incredibly important. It's important, but there's always a bigger boss. There's always a bigger fish. There's always a bigger not really. And so you got to care, but you can't care too much.
Yeah.
And I want the deal to succeed, but I'm not willing to violate my reputation with those players to force that deal. And when they understand that, that deal may fall apart, but my ability to reapproach that deal is preserved.
Yeah,
And so
absolutely.
I keep the door open that way. And it's the story of the two bulls. You ever heard that story?
No, go on.
Mm. There's two bulls sitting on a hill overlooking a herd of cows. There's a father bull and a son bull. And the son stands up, stretches, says, "Hey, Dad, let's run down this hill and fuck one of them cows." Sorry for the language. This is
That's
not
fine.
the.
You've heard my language. Jesus.
And the father stands up and he goes, "No, son, let's walk down this hill and fuck them all."
Yeah. Yeah. There's a big
Yeah.
difference, isn't there?
Yeah. I'd rather just walk down the hill. I don't want to scare anybody. And if I am, and sometimes I do, and I don't mean to, if I'm disruptive, I'll excuse myself. I don't want to disrupt anything. As soon as I know I'm disruptive, I'm out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going for a similar.
Not my monkeys, not my circus.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's an interesting one, that one. That's a very, very, very good bit of wisdom.
Yeah. You
Knowing when it's
know,
time to move on
yeah. And you only learned that through doing it wrong.
loads of times. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
You don't learn that one and the first time around at all. Not even close.
No, not at all. Well,
Yeah.
as you know, I'm 60 and I'm only just really, for me personally, getting round to just accepting stuff what it is and just disciplining myself and go, that's enough. That path's finished. Another path's opened. Off you go.
Yeah.
Or you stick on that one. But you get to a stage where you know that, well, if I stick on that one, it's going to happen again. So I might as well just go off that way. It's
Yeah.
really interesting. I stack my boxes.
When you walk into a business, you know, uh, as a customer, yeah, as soon as the salesman, the young cocky salesman comes out, as soon as he esteems you the wrong way and you know it, it's never a good job to correct him. Just let him play his hand. But then stop giving him information, you
Yeah.
know, just play with him. And if the girls in mini skirts come out, run for your life.
Well, I don't know. I hang around for a little while. Uh,
Yeah, don't negotiate where I do. You
no,
try to throw them at you,
I'm
but
too old, but I will enjoy the eye candy.
oh, for sure. Most of the time, that's a test
Of course it
by,
is.
by bigger guys to see if you're worth your salt or not. And sometimes it's not. Sometimes that's just people telling you who they are.
Yeah.
And you got to figure that out too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is a shame. Some of those gals might be very talented and smart and everything, but they've actually diminished their own capacity for advancement by playing that game.
Yeah.
So, dress more modestly and use your brain, and um, you know, you'll lose a lot of deals because of that. But those weren't deals worth having anyway,
Oh,
and the better quality deals will come from people who appreciate it. And yeah, yeah. When the stakes are high, the all the tricks come out, and you got to be savvy, and you got to just be real and consistent. And if you are, you'll do fine. If not, who knows? I've been in some sticky ones.
it's true though, isn't it? But it's learning to play the game within the game, though, isn't it?
It is. It really is. And at
Nothing more.
the end of the day, the game only exists because people are uncomfortable with strangers.
Uh,
And they should be, because not everybody's an honest broker.
yeah.
And smart guys can figure that out real fast, and people that can't, you probably don't need to deal with very much because they're just dangerous.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Mad.
yeah, yeah,
It's
uh,
mad, but it's cool.
yeah.
So anything else you want to say on a conference, dude?
Yeah,
Observation wise.
I've chatted with a guy named Lawrence Lepard on and off a little bit on Twitter, and he
Yeah,
wrote a book called The Big Print.
he did.
And he signed my book. I met Larry and um, looked him in the eye and spent just enough time with him to figure out Larry's the real deal. And he's a solid guy. He's a very nice guy. It's a great book. And of course, I want people to buy his book. But if someone really wants that book and can't afford it, let me know. I'll buy it for you if you would really just benefit from it. I'm not trying to shill Larry's book, but there were a few others that I met that I thought were just better in person than they were online.
Okay.
They're great online, don't get me wrong, but they're even better people in person.
Okay.
And Lawrence was one of those guys.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so with a few other guys. I got mate James Lavish. He's fantastic. Um, others, I don't want to say anything because I'm working with a few people. And but there's some really great people in Bitcoin,
Yeah, there
and
seems to be.
they're
Those
not.
those two people I would quite happily watch and listen to. Those two
Yeah,
people that you actually said.
yeah, absolutely.
They've got a different vibe about them.
And so listen, they're already successful,
Yeah.
and they're really in the space because they want history to remember them well by sounding the alarms and pleading with their fellow man in a non-alarmist, but like very consciously emphatic, educational sort of way to help people genuinely. And Jack Mahler's exudes that same vibe. And boy, and he's young and he's under a shitload of pressure. He's got a lot going on. Um, but he's still, he still is who he is, and he's sticking to his guns. And
His talk was amazing.
he could be president, dude. I mean,
His
like,
talk was amazing.
it was the first one that wasn't even on video was the same one.
Okay.
And but it was impassioned. It was even better,
Yeah.
and I saw them both. My wife missed the first one, and so I said, "Well, we got to go see the second one."
Yeah.
Yeah, Jack's and Jack's not saying anything different than what all the gold and silver guys already know to be true. It's just there's no agenda there. You know, these guys are fine whether you do something or don't, but they just want to be on the right side of history as a good guy and say, hey, folks, pay attention because people are going to get hurt. And so confirming that in person was really good. I can watch someone online forever. You don't have a clue who they are. But if I spend, you know, 2 or 3 minutes with somebody, I know more about them than they know. I
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
very quick.
Yeah.
And yeah, yeah, I can look a guy in the eyes and figure it out pretty fast.
Yeah.
And kept me alive many times being able to do that. And I just was overjoyed with how nice and genuine everybody. And I didn't agree with everything every presenter said, but that didn't mean that they weren't malicious.
Yeah.
There wasn't a hidden agenda.
Yeah.
No one was using um, linguistics that would have implied there was deception or anything involved. Um, None of the speakers, no. I mean, there's some characters, of course, at the conference always, but I met a young man from Germany and his father, and they're kind of techies and cypherpunks. And while they were really cool people to meet, and I met a lot of young startup talent that's in the business and still just trying to get the first thing going, or maybe they got it going and they're trying to scale. And and I've been there. I've been in a startup. I've had to deal with VCs, and it's a tough place to be. Yeah, your business is like your baby, and you're emotionally attached. You work extremely long hours, so it was nice to sit on the other side of that and see myself years ago, 20 years ago, um, trying to learn how to run a business. And um, I've tried to stay in touch with every one of them I could. So please, just I don't know, I don't know where you'll be in 5 years, where I'll be in 5 years, but I know I want to keep up with you, and I think you're going places. It's just some real, I mean, super inspiring stories, and guys have had real hard lives and a lot of uphill battles, and they've managed to come out smelling like a rose. They don't see their success yet, but because they're still in the trenches fighting.
Yeah.
But I see it. I'm like, yeah, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. I mean, I can't help you right now, but um, I wanted to. I looked at two deals that have been really attractive to me, but I don't. Boy, it was tempting. I can't break my own rules, though. Manage that risk, right? Yeah.
Got it, man. I've quite often. I think this is an age thing as well. I really do. I think you get to a stage where you sometimes you want to be that younger, involved, make a difference type dad to people. And
Or just their friend. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But on quite a few occasions now, I thought, oh, should I get involved with that? Should I not get involved? Should I get involved with that? Should I not? And I sit there and think, I don't need to. Just remember, I don't need to.
I don't need
I
to.
can do it in a different way. I can be their friend,
Yeah. That's what for now.
you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. And, most people, I tell them, just keep in touch because if you run into the problem, you really don't know who to talk to about, or it's embarrassing. I'm probably like the guy to talk to about it.
Yeah,
And yeah, and we all screw the pooch every now and then. So when it happens, say something. It's not that you got in that situation that's the problem. It's how you handle that situation. That tells everything about a person. Initiative is at some point going to override judgment when you're young, and that's okay. At least you have the initiative. You'll learn the judgment through the mistakes.
100%.
Yeah.
It's vital. It's those tests of character, isn't it? And they never
Mm,
go away. They never go away.
never.
Even if you're in a relationship, those tests still come all the time. You've got that relationship going, that different things come up. You still got to
Yeah.
get over them. And it's a real, I love it, dude. I love the challenge. There's many a time I've thought to myself, oh my God, I don't want to do this anymore. But you don't know, you just dig deep and just go, no, I'm not giving in. I've got to find a way. I've got to try and find, I've got to learn from this, this process. Maybe I'll make the same mistake again. I don't know, but at least I've had that valid
Probably.
experience of working my way out of it. It's powerful stuff, dude. I, I don't, re- Sometimes I think to myself, 60, I'm getting old, blimey, but I just quite enjoy it now.
Well, when you say I'm 60, I'm getting old. I have the same thoughts. I'm not 60, I'm 50, but I think where was I 20 years ago? And if I look back from today, sometimes that 20 years seems fast, and sometimes it seems like I lived a shitload in those 20 years. And so I just say, okay, well, 50 to 70 is going to happen probably faster from my perception. But I've still got all the time that I had from 30 to 50. I've just got it again. And really, my dad's in his early 80s. He's doing well. And I've had a little more hard living than him from my wilder times. But I'd like 35 years isn't out of the question for me or more. So yeah, I'm going to live like there is a tomorrow and a 10 years from now, and I'm just going to try to do it a little smarter, and we'll see what happens.
That's what you can do.
Yeah, the kids are getting a little older, and the dad's getting a little older, and some of that pressure is I wouldn't say pressure, that's not the right word, but
Yeah,
those invasive thoughts are reoccurring about how much quality time they get to spend with family when we're overseas so much. And the girls miss their grandma. They got a chance to hang out with their grandma for, I don't know, a couple weeks straight. It was like 24/7 last summer, and they had a hoot.
yeah, they would do.
Yeah, and they need that just as much as grandma does. And so, I already have to make a return trip at some point. So I just want to make sure that return trip has enough space to allow for those connections to have
100%.
time
Yeah.
to connect. And I, I'm almost at the point where I don't want to take on anything that's going to get in the way of that.
Yeah. 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 Don't blame me.
I mean,
It's
what am I
important,
really?
man.
I mean, I'll make a little bit of money and, or not, or I'll lose a bunch. Sure. It's like you can't buy time. That was something at the conference that was repeated quite often. The value of time and the emphasis on taking care of yourself as we sit here and vape and smoke or whatever. But uh,
Gin and tonics.
yeah, G&Ts. I don't. Only when I'm on with you, Andy. Only when I'm on with you.
Yeah,
Uh,
okay. Yeah. Use me as the excuse. Yeah. Fine.
Um, no, I bet I don't have a glass of wine, but once a week, maybe. Unless I'm in the village or something. And when in Rome,
What the Romans do.
when the old men sit you down like and they pour a glass of their local hooch, you, you have to drink it. You do, and
Nothing wrong with it anyway.
yeah. And then you have to drink two because a man walks in on 2 feet. And then if you're in an Orthodox country, it's for the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. So now it's three, and then it just keeps going. And toast to your family, and those bonding experiences, though. Yeah, you have to be. Yeah, you got to just do what the locals do. And if they drink the hooch, you got to drink the hooch.
Exactly. Or
I
you don't
died.
do it.
I died once in Georgia doing that. It was I don't know how long my wife was here.
Oh,
3 days. I was
hello.
recovering for 3 days. Yeah, come on and say hi, babe. Say hi, Andy.
Hi, Andy.
Hiya,
Good to
how
see
you doing?
you. I'm wonderful. How are
Oh my
you?
God, yeah, not too bad. You look really well.
Oh, well, thank you.
You must be having a good time.
We are.
You are.
Nice
Oh,
to
it's
be
nice.
here.
It's nice to see you, and thank you for letting me have this conversation with your
Well, I
husband.
can't wait. I didn't hear most of it, so I can't wait to listen to it later. I
I
love your
love it. It's really cool having a chat up. I think we sit on the same vibe, which is really cool. Probably got, I don't know, but probably got the same sort of family morals. And it's just so nice to share that space.
It
It's
is.
like, I don't care if people come in, people could come in and talk. But if I get to engage with someone that I just feels good, I could just sit and just talk. It's just like I'm there with you, really, to be honest. I
It's
know
like
I've
a
got a
video
screen.
call with a friend. This is just like a
It is.
FaceTime call with a friend.
It's
Yeah.
wicked, man.
It'd
There's
be
no
great.
agenda. Sorry?
It'd be great to do it in person someday.
Oh, man. Yeah,
I told him,
definitely.
he said maybe next year. I told him I'll buy the plane tickets. Him and the wife come see us wherever we're at.
Oh, that'd be fun. Yeah.
I've got to try and get my wife retired from work.
Ah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's the aim of the game at the moment.
Very good.
That's number one priority because
Yeah.
I don't want her to get stressed as much as she is. It's horrible to see it, but that's priority number one. If we can get that position and just now a few things, then I'll be a happy chappy and we can just be a little bit more free birds.
Yes.
Imagine having Andy in a cab in Kutaisi with Kuka
That would
driving.
be awesome.
Wouldn't that be a hoot?
Yeah.
Oh man.
It
All
would be,
right.
but yeah, no worries. Very nice to see you. You take good care.
Um,
You're a lucky man, dude.
thank you.
Lucky
I
man.
I think I'm a lucky man. She's
Yeah.
fantastic, but she has one serious problem.
Go
She
on.
has horrible taste in men.
There she go. Bless her.
Everything else is fantastic. But yeah, shit taste in men.
Oh, I don't think so, somehow.
Her brother would agree.
Maybe.
He's,
I love
he's a
it.
he's a piece of work.
I love it. I love it.
He
Dude.
doesn't know me at all. That's the funny thing. He has no clue who I am
Oh,
as a
really?
person. Yeah, as a person. Yeah, we've
Okay.
talked. We had dinner one time while we were dating, and I think we've talked very briefly, um, 2 or 3 times, and that's it. He can't stand me. It's
Oh,
people can't. That's fine. I don't care. You go live your life. But whatever. Yeah.
I can stand you.
I
Yeah,
know.
my wife can stand me, so
I
that's
heard
all.
that. Yeah, less. That's
Uh,
a
uh,
good one. That's a good one, man.
yeah.
Obviously, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but one of the things I wanted
No,
to
kids
ask
are
you.
out. Kids are out riding horses. Like, go do your.
Okay, thank you. Um, one of the other things I wanted to talk about is what's the vibe in Eastern Europe at the moment
Well,
with all the
let's
crap that's been going on recently.
today is the 29th of June. So last night, there was a large protest in Serbia. And there were some skirmishes with the police afterwards. And so the political situation in Serbia is tenuous, and how that's going to get resolved remains to be seen. I understand the viewpoints of both sides of that, and I know people on both sides of that, and it is serious. It's more serious, I think, than people understand, and so I would keep an eye on Serbia. Um, Romania has its tensions lowered since their election results, but nothing is resolved, and that's just going to simmer under the surface. Um, the nationalist candidate in Romania lost the election, and the federalist central planning candidate won. And then Poland, the nationalist candidate, won their election recently. I don't believe there's as much tension present in Poland as there is in the Balkans. So I would say Poland's probably, um, I mean, that whole country agrees on a lot of things. They disagree on some others very, very much, but I think they have a mechanism present to work it out, and they have a lot of national unity. There's a lot of national pride, and that's the case actually in all these countries I'm talking about. But the current social cohesion in Poland is rather strong. Hungary is, up for election soon, and we'll see how that goes. Again, it's a nationalist versus a federalist, and the national have had the power for quite some time with the Fidesz party led by Viktor Orban, and there's some tension there. However, I have visited Budapest a couple of times, um, with a great deal of space in between, and I've noticed a shift in favor of nationalism in Hungary. And anecdotally, right? No scientific polling, just the Jeff way of doing things. I would say that the country's probably leaning more nationalistic than people realize. And but there are some nuance to the arguments made by both candidates that will just I can't really see which way that's going to go. But I have my suspicions. Moldova's destabilized, but not never in the news, of course. And it's been destabilized forever. But that's going to come in play probably once Russia starts to take Odessa in Ukraine. And I believe the war in Ukraine essentially began in Odessa and it will finish in Odessa. That'll be the deciding factor. Um, you know, um, I don't believe that the war in Ukraine will be resolved anytime soon. I'm not especially hopeful of that. But I think I know how it's going to end. And I think Russia's going to expand quite a bit more than people realize. And I'm not taking sides. I'm just
Yeah, no,
giving it my assessment.
yeah,
So I don't want to get beat up by people.
yeah,
Uh, because I'm really not taking sides. I'm just looking at it dispassionately, listening to what people on both sides and other observers have to say. Um, there's an issue in Armenia at the moment. There was a the government arrested several high-level church members and one archbishop, accused them of organizing a coup. And that's a really there's a element in America of the Armenian lobby aligned with French interests in the Caucasus that kind of oppose the Russian sphere of influence there. And how that's going to be resolved is anyone's guess. Um, uh, Armenia and Azerbaijan have never been closer to a peace deal, and I really hope it happens. I really want to see peace in the Caucasus, um, but that's got to get figured out. Azerbaijan just took in a lot of refugees from Iran, from many, many national embassies and business interests were able to, they could leave by plane, so they had to leave by land borders, and they went to Turkey, Azerbaijan, and other directions. But
Okay.
Azerbaijan did a really good job of just meeting people at the border, providing transport to the airport, and arranging for flights back to their home country. And Azerbaijan's land borders have been closed for like 5 years. So for them to make that exception was pretty substantial. But they have a policy of soft diplomacy and being good neighbors with everyone, and and that was proven through the way they handled the crisis in Iran at their border with Iran. They just opened the border and very organized handled it, and they handled it masterfully. And I've been to Azerbaijan a couple of times, and the people are incredibly hospitable. um, I've talked to some people in the know in Azerbaijan, and they are some of the most capable and talented people I ever interact with. And they're very, very wise, very savvy. And if there is some more instability in that region, I would hope that Baku would be more of the a place for the pressure to be relieved. And they have excellent diplomatic relations with many, many very large and conflicting powers. And so they take soft diplomacy and their, um, I don't want to say neutral, but non-aligned. They take their non-aligned interests very seriously, and they do a real good job of walking that line. And so it's a nod to the people responsible for foreign policy in Azerbaijan, as well as their president, who put him there
Yeah.
and maintained him there at his pleasure. And President Aliyev is an exceptionally capable man and a hell of a good leader. And just as leaders go, just as leaders go, people have different opinions about Azerbaijan. They're welcome to that opinion. But my opinion is when I'm there, I'm treated incredibly well. And I don't have anything negative to say about them at all. Georgia um, is going through a process of political reconciliation with its opposition parties. It's just some people have been arrested and charged, for the actions they committed during the attempted uh, all the protesting period, I'll say. And the ambassador from the U.S. has resigned, and she'll be replaced at some point, with whom is what more important than anything else that'll kind of indicate which direction Georgian American relations are going, Georgian European relations, Georgian Russian relations. Um, and those three, are the big ones for Georgia, Europe, Russia, and America. And so I think I have a pretty good idea who the ambassador is going to be. And if that person is appointed, I think it bodes well for Georgian American relations. And uh, the ruling party there, the Georgian Dream, is trying to reconcile with the opposition parties for them to participate. They went through an election where the opposition parties won substantial presence in parliament, but they, in protest against that election, they refused to join the parliament in protest. And I think their hope was that the government would be declared illegitimate by a bunch of foreign powers and they would redo the elections under someone else's observation. That didn't that gambit didn't work out, and so now you got conflicting messaging coming out of Europe, acknowledging the new elections are coming, but at the same time maintaining an official policy that the current government is illegitimate. So there's a lot of mixed messaging coming from Europe towards Georgia, and a lot of silence coming from America, and a lot of silence coming from Russia. And I think that's related in the periphery to Ukraine
Yeah.
and what was attempted prior. So Tbilisi is a beautiful city. The Georgian people are wonderful people. Again, I know people on both sides of the conversation in that country, and it's not just two sides, many sides there. I know people on many of the sides with many different opinions, but I think things are actually pretty positive for Georgia. I would have a net positive outlook on the Caucasus, with the exception being Armenia. It's such an unknown right now. I don't spend a lot of time studying our Yerevan and their internal politics, um, because I'm focused on the middle corridor, and the middle corridor does the Tbilisi Kars pipeline between Turkey and Azerbaijan runs through Georgia, doesn't run through Armenia. So I just never focused a lot of my studies there. I'm really focused big picture on the middle corridor, which is rail, road, pipeline, information, and energy connections from China into Europe through Eurasia. And so that includes all the stands, so all the Organization of Turkic States, and how they're implementing that. Interestingly enough, when we talk about Bitcoin or blockchain technology, they utilize blockchain technology and tokenization already in cross-border shipment of freight in a way that is not done anywhere else in the world that I'm aware of. And so they are on the forefront of adopting um, the most efficient means to transport cargo, and having the route's already up and running. It's now it's going to scale, and having that route there has actually been a pressure relief valve for what's been going on between India and Pakistan, and Israel and the U.S. and Iran, and all the regional instabilities, even Russia Ukraine situation. A lot of those transport routes, the pressure relief valve has been the middle corridor, and none of the countries utilizing the middle corridor have weaponized it. They've instead just tried to stay very neutral and say, hey, listen, we're just open for business. We just want to run the cargo through here, and we can do it. And if you want to bring it, great. We'd love to have you. And so that attitude really isn't changing. But I use that area of focus to kind of help my understanding of how Eastern Europe's going to play out. So because Eastern Europe ends up being the gateway for a lot of this connectivity. There's power generation lines that run through the Black Sea from Georgia into Bulgaria. There's proposed pipelines that are going to go into the Black Sea. So control of the Black Sea is the demilitarization of the Black Sea, I should say, or the security of the Black Sea is pretty critical. And then Turkey, and Greece. Let's see, Greece still experiencing some growth in some pockets. There's what's that community called in Athens that we went and looked at, babe? You remember the name of it? I went and looked at a community in Athens that's essentially like a new resort planned community for rich people. They're building there day and night. There's cranes everywhere. The crews are working constantly. But when you go into Athens, into the neighborhoods, it's a ghost town, and so there's still economic pressure there. I think Greece is going to do okay, to be honest. Who have we missed? Macedonia, North
Okay.
Mac North Macedonia is just kind of hanging in the breeze. They're good for tech. It's a good place for startups. They have a demographic issue. They're losing a lot of their young people. Um, let's see, Bosnia. Well, Bosnia and Herzegovina are under stress because there's a uh, Republika Srpska, which is an area of ethnic Serbs, is going to try to probably break away at some point and rejoin Serbia. And then, they'll be assisted by Slovakia and Hungary. And, there'll be like endorsements from that side of the coin. And on the other side of the coin, you have the Croatia, Albania, Kosovo alliance that's emerged and militarily, and that's caused problems. And then Montenegro is just a place where people go to hide dope money. No, I'm joking. um, Montenegro is probably going to the EU, and Albania is probably going to be in the EU within the next 2 years. It's real possible. The elections here went well in Albania with the ruling party maintaining power, and so getting Albania into the EU is probably happening. There's a shat ton of development that's going on the coast here, on the beach towns, and so this year there's already been 4 million tourists come to essentially three or four little resort towns. So business is good, but again, the underlying economic pressure is still here. Who have I missed?
What's going on with Turkey? Anything?
Well, Turkey, they made a peace agreement with the Kurds, and the Kurds agreed they agreed to lay down their arms, and so they've demilitarized uh, a situation that's been hot for decades between the Kurds and the Turks. And a lot of that has to do with Syria, with Bashar al-Assad leaving Syria and going to Moscow. There's a new leader in Syria, and there's some groups there that are trying to figure things out. Churches are still getting attacked and other things are still happening. There was just a bombing in an Orthodox church, killed a lot of people the other day. And, but, then there's an Armenian element in Eastern Turkey, and then there's Turkish domestic politics, and then you have Istanbul, which is its own animal. Um, you know, I think Turkey's stable for now. I do. I think Erdogan has pretty tight control of power. He's an exceptionally large military. He's incredibly important to NATO and to Europe. Um, if you took all of the armies of Europe and combined them and multiplied them by three, Turkey still has a bigger military.
Yeah.
And Turkey's also expanding their naval presence in the Eastern Mediterranean, around Cyprus and also around the Horn of Africa. They're patrolling the waters around Somalia and providing security for Somalia in exchange for mineral rights. So they're drilling for oil and gas off the Horn of Africa. Um, ooh, let's see. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's fascinating to
Sorry.
hear you
Yeah.
talk about all the different countries and
And how they play with each other.
yeah, that's what gets me. It's for me since I've been talking to you, I've been learning on how that they all sort of need each other, but
You
there's
do.
that sort of hustling and you know moving
Well,
things around, strategically positioning themselves.
nothing stops a bullet like a job, and nobody wants a war,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So, if gas from Azerbaijan or the Caspian can accompany freight from China and India and points elsewhere to come in through the middle corridor into Europe, that's good for Europe because it's reducing the transit times and the costs for those goods and services, and energy being critical because Western Europe and Russia aren't going to become friends for a while.
no,
And so fixing the energy problem
yeah,
is you can't fix anything unless you fix the energy problem.
yeah,
Because energy really underpins everything. So Hungary's got great relations with the Turkic states, and they're a permanent observer on the OTS. Serbia's got good deals, with SOCAR gas to provide energy, and a lot of that pipeline for Hungary goes through Serbia, and some of that comes through Bulgaria, and it's everybody's got to get a little meat on the bone, and everybody's got to get a little piece of the action. That's just the way business is done. But at the same time, while those guys are beginning to show the mechanics of economic chutzpah, to use a Yiddish term. I don't know what else. They're showing economic cooperation and displaying their ability. And Western Europe's acting kind of negative towards that because they kind of want it done their way, and that's not very culturally sensitive. And so now you have some clashes and some friction in those areas. But it's never a good idea to come in and tell people how they need to run their business. It's better to just do business with them.
Yeah.
So I don't make political commentary about the internal politics or workings of a country
Yeah.
ever because I want to visit that country
Yeah.
and my opinion isn't helpful or necessary or even qualified. So I stay out of it. But while I'm there, I acknowledge the realities that are on the ground.
Yeah.
If this guy runs the show, well, and you want to be there, well, you shouldn't be rude to him. I can't visit Andy's house and criticize your furniture all the time. You're
Yeah.
not going to want me back.
No.
So, but it doesn't mean I have to decorate my house that way.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it,
Interesting.
yeah. I think a lot of what's going on right now in the world, specifically in regards to Iran, the Abraham Accords, um, including most of the Arabian Peninsula countries, um, and Syria and Turkey is going to be resolved in the next few months. I do. I just do. And I think it's going to be resolved in a way where everybody's pretty excited about it and seems to be happy days. However, I'm not certain that it'll be solved in a sustainable way. That's not to criticize the people that are participating in the pursuit of peace. That's just to acknowledge the realities that some of these disputes are very old and very personal, and that you can only suppress them for so long before they may reappear in ways you hadn't imagined before. So I hope
I get that.
if you could have peace and sustained economic activity for a long enough time for an entire generation to see nothing but improvement, I think you would begin to diminish the voice of a longer conflict. And I believe Marco Rubio's efforts in America are moving along the right lines. Now, listen, I'm an American. I love America, and I'm very patriotic. I don't hesitate to criticize policy because that's the American ways. We talk shit about our own government all the time. There's things I may not agree with on a policy level, but overall, I think what the Trump administration is trying to pursue is um, comes from a good place and may produce a net positive. And I'm optimistic in that regard. And anything that I can do to further that or support that effort, whether it's a conversation with a cab driver or whatever, I'm willing to do because I love my country, but I love every other place. I love every person I meet. Every man is my brother, and I don't want to see war destabilize these places and create more trouble. I want to see peace, and so anything that pursues that is a net positive. And interestingly enough, the bills financially oriented towards the Genius Act, stable coins, banking regulations, all of that is going to provide a vehicle to stabilize parts of the world that were previously unable to be stabilized because of the way the dollar was weaponized. And so democratizing the dollar into a stable coin may be disruptive for a time, but I think the end result may be a positive. However, it will be inflationary.
Yeah, for sure. For
Mhm.
sure. Do you think, to wrap this up, with that the European Central Bank will still pursue its CBDC in October?
Yeah, that's not stopping. I mean, they may kick the can down the road a little bit, but they're trying to preserve an ordered system and way they are used to of governing. and executing their deals, and they're going to make every attempt to do that. And how well that's received by a free market remains to be seen. And when I say the free market, that doesn't mean people in the European Union,
Yeah.
but the people who do business with the European Union.
Yeah.
They may like or not like that, and they can vote with their economic activity. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, if you make gas, you got to sell gas. And if you make olive oil, you got to sell olive oil. And if this guy has some rules, you got to obey his rules. Like you got to pay your taxes, man. Like, you know,
Absolutely.
it's just the way the world works. Um, you know, uh, we'll see. You know, Brussels has got to find a consensus and then formulate a policy based on that consensus and execute. And they're having trouble doing that right now because they're having an internal conversation about which way things are going to go.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, UK sitting on the sidelines going, "Holy shit!" And Ireland's got the troubles about to come back. And again, you'll see a nationalist movement is starting to emerge in Ireland.
Yeah.
We don't need troubles on the Emerald Isle, man.
No.
We just don't need the troubles back, bro. No, 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 no.
No.
We That needs to get fixed.
Yeah.
So the Irish need to decide that
Yeah.
for the Irish,
Yeah.
and the Georgians need to decide Georgia for Georgia, and Serbia needs to decide for Serbia.
Yeah.
We don't need outside forces coming in and telling
No.
people how to handle their business.
No, definitely not. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. The UK seems very unsettled at the moment. That's an understatement.
Yeah, y'all have got a lot going on, don't you?
Yeah, for sure. I don't follow it down to the weed level. I try not to get too involved with all the mainstream media propaganda stuff. Um, but generally talking to people, which is
Yeah,
my job really. And I like interacting, as I've said before. People are getting fed up, really fed up with what's not going on or the obvious, People really getting fed up with being lied to, getting fed up with just generally the no future for the kids, it's getting
it's
quite
grim.
interesting. Sorry?
It's grim, and it's
Yeah,
grim, but it's grim everywhere.
yeah, exactly.
Um, and it's hard to hear that when you look at your own situation and say, well, it can't be as bad as here because here we have this, and this. But no, but that's not to diminish the seriousness of what's going on in the UK, but
No,
it's just to say that you when I see so many of the same problems manifesting in different ways in
yeah,
so many places, that makes me think I need to look for the causation because the correlation is obvious. And until I can understand the causation, it's going to be difficult to see how these things work out should a nationalist movement take control or should things explode into domestic civil unrest or whatever. And I don't want that for anywhere. I really don't. But there's been there's been a long standing culture of accommodation by the global West that has been culturally that has been co-opted and abused to a point that has created um, friction in civil society.
yeah,
And I don't want to see the answer be a loss of the ability to empathize with other people or to be accommodating or hospitable. But unfortunately, history tells us that's the likely outcome. And so, if someone can thread that needle and say, listen, we're going to fix it, but we're still going to be nice people, I don't think anybody would be opposed to that.
no,
I just don't hear anybody offering that.
no,
And that goes, the onion peels back a layer bigger and says, well, is there, you know, something bigger going on?
yeah,
And there probably is.
Wild times, dude.
Yeah.
Wild times. But saying that, what I said earlier about when I'm talking to people, people are fed up. There's still that core British value of standing together if and trying to work out a way. There's still
And
that really
I
deep
and I think it's going to
unity
get
bit.
into. I think it's going to get tapped into, and I think
Yeah,
that
definitely.
people in their homeland should stand together and love their neighbors and figure it out.
Yeah,
Sometimes that means uh, expressing that in a way to the rulers that they can uh, hear
yeah,
that frustration. And last night in Serbia, it came out in form of a large protest, 500,000 people, and some skirmishes with some riot cops, which is not ideal. But I mean, hell, it could have been a lot worse. We're talking about the Balkans, right? And as peaceable as the people of the British Isles have been, there's another side of them that's being awoken, and I just urge caution on allowing that side of you to be captured by someone with a different intention. And but in no way should it diminish your tribal identity of who you are and where you come from and what you stand for. And it's the older men that are going to have to provide that nuance and a way for the younger men to vent that frustration in a way that's building a community instead of tearing it down. So I
yeah.
guess,
And take it. It's, yeah, taking that response. Yeah, you're dead right. It's taking that self-responsibility that the only way things get better is if you roll your sleeves up and start making it better.
yeah.
And you don't have to
Maybe,
do it with violence. You just do it
maybe
with,
Jeremy Clarkson for prime minister. I don't know.
yeah,
I don't think
well,
so, but I
not
mean,
sure.
all
I don't
everybody
know.
knows him is Top Gear and Clarkson's Farm, and a nice guy, right?
Yeah, the thing is, he talks a ton of sense. I think one of the biggest issues we've probably got, and probably a lot of people have got in a lot of countries, lots of people talk a lot of sense, but I want to see sleeves rolled up and do, not just talk, but do.
Yeah,
So that if I'm going to follow you, I want to follow a leader, but I want to follow a leader that's going to do it and
go out in the
shows
street. Yeah, go out in the street and start cleaning up graffiti.
exactly picking up the
Right.
shit.
That's right. Let's
Yeah,
just let's just clean the place up, and then we can have a family discussion. Right.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I seems really
But
important.
do that and watch and pay attention to who comes out and re-graffitis the walls and who paid them. And I'm gonna tell you, they're paid one way or another.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. And I don't. I see places where the graffiti gets worse when I revisit, and I see places where it gets better, and it frustrates me. But it's an indicator that I use. I have my own graffiti scale, to use to gauge social cohesion. And how many old women are carrying their own bags from the grocery store or from the market,
Yeah,
instead of the young man give them deference, or that tells you where that country's going. So
does.
it
So,
does. I can't learn that in a cabin in the woods. But now I can go back to my cabin in the woods and I can say, okay, I think I know how to trade this for the next 4 years
yeah,
or whatever.
yeah.
Um, yeah.
Mad
Or
dude.
who knows?
Mad, mad, mad. Looks very
Yeah.
nice.
But at any time, like Camel says, poof, aliens, poof, oops. As I, so like, don't, and I don't laugh at it because like, do you, whether the aliens are real or not, take that out of the equation.
Yeah,
Do you think if they weren't real, you think they wouldn't do it? Think they wouldn't try? I mean,
100%.
would it really surprise you? Like would it at this point would it really surprise us? I,
And
I
I was saying to Camel actually, because I'm very much like you. Nothing would surprise me anymore, dude. It really
yeah,
wouldn't. But I was saying to him, it would be interesting because I don't think it'd be a big deal to the general populace.
I think it would be
Might be for a little while.
I think not in the tactical sense it wouldn't be. They'd be like, okay, whatever, let's hear what they got to say. Like we're all ears, right? We're listening. But I think the second order effects would be pretty big.
Could be.
Uh, yeah. I know how I'd handle it. And I'm just gonna do me and that's all I'm gonna do. And
Do you know what, Jeff?
yeah.
I'm honest with you. I want to know as many people that I can. So if I need to go anywhere in the world, I know that I've got to go have bump into a brother
Yeah.
with the same mindset.
Yeah. And so is an Orthodox monk in a monastery making wine like a terrible guy to know? I mean, you could be in worse places, let's be honest.
Exactly. Yeah.
So like knowing people in the village is, that's what listen, I had enough of my own. I produced my own vegetables, saved my own seed, made my own electricity, had a sawmill, I built my own house. I did everything myself. I was completely self-reliant and self-sustaining. And you know what? I found out it was utterly worthless if I didn't have a community. And what COVID revealed for us was that our community was not receptive to our style of life, that we homeschool the kids, that we don't celebrate the holidays. And I say community, man, you could drive through 30 minutes of deer, bears, and woods before you could get to a post office. And you wouldn't be happy about the one you landed at. And you got to drive an hour to get to a grocery store. And if you're lucky and there's not 6 meters of snow on the ground, and so you might have to do it in a snow machine, and that's 9 months out of the year or whatever. Even there, that it was like a big spread out small town. You just weren't. They weren't good people. They weren't community minded, and I found that the best preparation for self reliance is really um, relying on a community of people, finding a community where you plug in and integrating into that community in a way that's supportive and regenerative and not extractive and consumptive.
Yeah.
And um, I know I can do that in a few places in this world. And I'd rather focus my time, efforts, and capital in communities that would benefit from that and would be receptive to it and would reward me with companionship.
Yeah.
And that's all that I can ask. I don't, there's a gossip everywhere. People are people, but generally speaking, people that are, we've talked about this before, people that are more connected to the production of their food tend to have stronger community cohesion than people that just have everything delivered to their door. And
Absolutely.
there's a sliding scale there, but the closer you are to the village, kind of the better life gets. And at the same time, it's inconvenient because you can't go shop at Zara when you feel like it. But
Yeah. I don't think
yeah,
I've missed that though.
yeah, they built a road and you can drive both ways on it. Who
Yeah.
knew? Yeah. Um, Yeah, man, the world is much smaller and well known than people realize. And
Yeah.
the idea that you're going to just bug out and go someplace and be anonymous is a fallacy.
They drive me mad.
And it does it you can, and even though I spent time in Alaska. I mean, worked on the salmon fishery in King Salmon, Alaska for a season. Um, I've been to Ketchikan. I've been to some wild places, and um the more I see, the less I see is different. Doesn't mean I don't learn, just the less I see is different. Now
Yeah.
I see what they all have in common. Now we're at a point where we're just choosing culture and weather. That's
Exactly.
what we're
Yeah.
doing. We're
Yeah.
looking for culture and weather.
Yeah. From
And
the comfort of a computer screen.
yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, I don't
It's
know.
mad, dude.
I'm sure most people wouldn't want to live the way we live. Uh, and I'm sure others would love it. But uh, I I've had a real opportunity to travel and I took advantage of it, and I don't regret it. And once I go dark, I'll pop out and tell everybody, how things are going. But if I go dark, I may go dark for a while I get set up, and we'll see. I need time for that placement to organically evolve and grow strength. You know, and, I got to tell you, the people are fantastic. The culture is amazing. I mean, every place has its problems, right? But I mean, Albania, it should go at the top of everyone's list. And it's like it's not even on anybody's radar, but like you should come here. You should spend time here. You should meet with Albanians, and you know, somebody inbox me if you're coming here. I have a fantastic network of drivers and places to stay, and provide whatever you need. But wonderful people. That goes for some of any other places I mentioned. I probably know everybody you need to know. Um, but no, I mean they've had a rough go. So post-communist countries are more personally geared towards individual liberty than countries that weren't under communism during the Cold War. And I've not found an exception to that rule.
Better unmute myself. Wow. Makes a
Yeah.
lot of sense, dude. Makes a lot of sense. That backdrop looks absolutely gorgeous behind you. The lights are on,
I,
sun's going down.
mountains are, not far away. I don't show too much. I don't want anybody to know where I'm at.
No, no, that's fine. Yeah, like my background. I'm
But
floating in
yeah,
space.
I'm in the mountains, and it's beautiful out here. And olive orchards everywhere. Man, I can get lamb and sausage and olive oil and Rocky and great pizza. Albania's got fantastic pizza. And there's like a pizza everywhere. And there's a lot of I mean, Italy's just over the pond here, so huge connection. And for those inclined, some of the best marijuana grown in Europe is grown here in Albania. I'm not inclined in that direction, but everyone brags about it, and they're known for it here. It's legal. It's huge farms.
Wow.
It's just everywhere. Hey, Dan, just if
I
that's
might
your
come. I
cash
might
crop,
come.
yeah, you can get some left-handed tobacco here pretty easy.
I might. Yeah, that would make yeah. I should bring, I could just imagine.
You're the
On
missus
on
over.
a night like that, I'll quite happily be sitting outside with a nice bottle of whiskey and
Yeah,
a bit of a floater. Lovely.
yeah. Good cafe culture here. People are out, this time of night, especially the heat of the day's done. People
Yeah.
are out at the coffee shops, streets are buzzing. There's kids playing at the park. It's just like I'm gonna post a video at some point of me just walking to the vegetable stand at
Yeah, you
night.
did. Did you do a video on your YouTube channel? You was out in a market somewhere
Yeah,
recently.
that was at the Kalinic market in Serbia.
Yeah, that
And
was
I've
cool.
got similar videos from markets and bazaars in other places.
That's cool, man.
I haven't put a lot of it out because I don't know if those places are going to be home. Um, Belgrade won't be home. Um, but um, yeah, I will do a video at one point. You just see how many families, little kids riding bikes, parents on the other side of town. Like
Yeah,
this is the childhood you and I had, and
exactly.
we have it here, like right now. They didn't have it during communism, and post-communism was really rough, when they had to figure it out. But boys are playing football, and the lady comes out of the grocery store and yells at them because the ball hits the vegetables or whatever. And the old men are playing chess in the park, and you can buy a little bag of popcorn for 100 lek from a
Nice.
really good guy. 80 cents for a good coffee, and $3 for a pizza, $2 for a haircut. Um,
Jesus.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot to love here. They're great people. You know, my gym is good. My driver is great. Um, you know, we have a lady comes in, helps the wife and kids clean and once a week, you know, on occasion. She's fantastic. Landlord's good. Everybody in the building's great. Everybody says hello. Even like the grumpy old men, you know, that hang out at the little corner bar or whatever. Those guys, even them being grumpy, like there's something really endearing about grumpy old guys at a little barbecue joint sipping on beers at 10 a.m. You know, it's like you look at him, you say, I don't ever want this to change. I
Yeah,
just don't want this to go away.
yeah,
This is so cool.
yeah,
And I'm not where
yeah.
I don't live where there's tourists. There's no tourists where I live.
Perfect.
I love that. Yeah, I love that. I live in a working class neighborhood and great people. Yeah, you know, the little guy on the motor scooter doing the delivery, you know, whistles and says hello, honks his horn, and it's like you know everybody.
Yeah.
And there's tons of people to know. You know, say everyone's out. You know, no, so yeah, it's wild. If you saw it, you know, you'd get it. You know, you'd get
Yeah.
it. Yeah. I mean, it's different, you know, it's not as well developed. It's still developing, but
It's got that core basic
yeah,
that's
there's
really good.
there's something really nice about it because it's like a blank canvas. They're not finished
Mm,
painting. You're like,
exactly. Yeah.
yeah,
Let's hope.
not everything's all done up. Not yet.
Yeah.
There's some places that are nice. I mean, like I'm not living in the slums here, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see that.
Come on.
Yeah. I can see that a lot.
And I'm like the only guy here. You know, there's like nobody
Amazing.
here. It's Sunday night. Everybody's got work tomorrow.
Yeah. Dude, thank you so much for sharing your time. I love it. I love these little updates. It really gives me a, it keeps me out of the the box that I'm living in
Yeah,
because it's a great way. Hopefully, people that are watching get to appreciate what life is like outside their little hamster wheel lives, you know, and it's really important. It's really important, and I can't thank you. That's why I love it. I can't thank what you bring to the channel.
the
It's
other thing
massive,
is
dude. It's massive.
if, if that hamster wheel becomes too much to bear, there are other options.
Yeah,
And if you need help with that, reach out to me privately on Twitter, Traveler Jeff, and just start a conversation.
yeah.
Uh, it's a big world, and you'd probably love most of it. You know, I do. I love all of it. Yeah, I've never been a place I can't stand ever.
I love what you bring.
Is that true, babe? Is there a place I said I couldn't stand? Or was it? There's places we don't want to go. Yeah. I don't want to go to Paris, you know.
Don't want to come here.
I don't know that I want to go to the UK right now.
Nah,
Yeah.
certain bits of it, yeah, maybe, but as long as you weren't staying for too long, there's some really pretty places in the UK. But
You know, the true story, I've got the wife convinced that we could buy a Triumph Bonneville and get a Watsonian sidecar on it, and me and her could just drive around Europe for a while.
that'd be different.
I thought, wouldn't that be a riot? You know, me and the old lady on a Triumph with a sidecar just touring Europe.
That would be. I'd want to watch that. I'd want to watch that, dude.
I don't know that I would want to video any of it.
Oh
I
yeah,
I should video like everything that I do, but I don't, you know. Yeah, I don't know. I'd come deliver your coin in person. There you go, Andy. Let's go down to the pub and have a pint.
I'll be more than happy to. If you get that coin, I'll be more than happy to shoot over wherever and pick it up off you for a couple of days.
I'm gonna send you a coin no matter what. I'll grab one. Uh, I should have time, and if not, I'm gonna have time late summer, early fall. I am gonna be moving around a little bit, and I'm gonna have time. Like numismatic shops are like top on my list when I go places, and I want to do some coin hunting and grab some silver.
Yeah, it
And
should record it, dude.
I love it. I love it. And I got a big hoard of coins I've collected from all over the world at home at my dad's. and I'll never sell those coins.
Ah,
They're just memories. Yeah,
it tied into memories. Yeah.
that's the souvenir gift I buy is the coin.
Yeah. Don't blame you. Right. Cheers, dude. I'm going to
Cheers.
toilet.
Good night to everybody.
Thank you. You've killed. Love to the family, mate. Can I say goodbye to your wife?
Yeah,
Is she
she's
still there?
yeah, she can hear you.
Oh, bye bye, wife.
Did you hear her?
No.
Okay, here she'll come say goodbye.
Good night.
See you later. Thank you so much for letting me have him on my channel again for 2 hours talking. Really
We love
appreciate it. You look after yourselves, yeah?
you
Yeah.
too.
And love to the family.
Same
Yep.
to you.
And we'll catch
Cheers.
up again soon, dude.
Yeah, anytime.
If that's all
Holler.
right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much indeed.
Ciao.
Take good care, dude.